everybody, welcome to our fifth episode of Make Dream Happen. I'm super excited today because we have a special guest or is over here. I'm gonna let him introduce himself. I know I think a lot of people here in Phoenix know him, but I want you to introduce yourself. How you doing today?
Good, I'm doing good. My name is Preston. I'm a psychic life coach, which I don't know that a lot of people know all of that put together. So there's some people that might know that I'm psychic or intuitive, and then I do, like, a lot of people know that I do tarot readings, and then not everybody knows I'm a life coach, let alone that I do the two together. So it's been it's almost like a new introduction. That it feels new, especially as I grow more and more in my business, that it's oh, that's what I've been doing. Because I was very social for a long time and then disappeared for a little while. And so it's sort of coming back out of that cocoon as something different with this whole new thing of this business that I've been growing and sort of developing as over the last couple of years.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're here to learn about it and learn more about you, and also like to tell us how has been your journey as a like coach, and how has been that transition, like you said, from a social life to like now to be a life coach and helping people. Because I think when you're like, what are you doing is helping people to get better and achieve their goal. Tell me about how this started on you and when.
Well, it's funny because in college, actually, I was a tutor for like other students, and at one point, one of like the girls I was tutoring like had me in her phone as Preston Life Coach. Little did I know that would be like a crowning moment. Like, and I reflect back on it every once in a while. I'm like, I was doing this. I've been doing this for a long time, just never with the official title or certification or like anything to go along with it. But like, it's always been helping people has always been the drive of what I do. And I'm not sure if it just started with like my parents were all teachers. And so like just that helping, that teaching, that guiding has always been something I've enjoyed doing, even if it's never been an official role. It started probably, I don't know, like a couple years ago, life coaching did. I've been a psychic for a long time, ever since I was like 16 or so. I didn't know what I was, but I grew up in a very religious family. And so it like the metaphysical wasn't something foreign. It was just certain aspects of it weren't allowed. And finding that when I was 16 and I got my license and I was able to finally drive and go to the library on my own, I found the whole new age metaphysical section, which just opened my mind to so many different things. And it sort of allowed me to develop on my own. But I think it's funny because a lot of people that come from a religious background would say the opposite, in that like they sort of feel that it's two completely different things. But in my aspect, it really helped, like, I don't know what, like, develop my gift, if you will, like as a psychic might call it. Like, it helped to strengthen it because like the spiritual stuff was always around me all the time. And so just adding a new element of it wasn't anything completely out of the box.
And how was the first experience? Because I was reading about you, and you say that you had you met your first spiritual guy during 2002. And how was the experience for you?
It was super cool. So I found a book, and it's a book I still reference to this day, of like random thing, or when I'm like looking for something, and it had a meditation where you get to meet one of your spirit guides. And I did it, and I thought it was all in my imagination, but it was enough of a real experience that I was like, no, it's someone that I went and talked to like a lot throughout the course of my life, and that someone I still talk to like when I'm not sure, or sort of like when I'm really debating a decision, like I'll go back and talk to them. And I guess they've been with me for it depends on how you look at spirit guides, but they've been with me the whole time, like a guardian angel or something like that. And so it's definitely been something it's not a whole lot of people understand when I talk about it, but it's an interesting, like, sometimes for that first couple of years, I really thought I made it up, and it was a on again, off again relationship. But nowadays it's a consistent communication.
That's good that you said that, because when I read that, I've been reading about Gabby Bernstein, and I've been reading about it. So, and I started doing meditation, and also I told him I was meditating, and I was like, because I believe that we had guidance from people or that has passed away or family, something like that, and I was meditating, and that was something that I had never experienced before. I was meditating, and I was all of a sudden I felt my grandma in my room, and I heard that she say Amanda. Amanda is my older auntie, and she say Amanda, and it's funny because my mom didn't talk to my tia at that moment. So, and what I felt in that moment is like I had to talk to my mom and tell her, hey, Mama Chen, want you, because I call Mama Chen, I used to call her Mama Chen. Mama Chen want to talk, that you talk with your sister. And she didn't believe me. Because it's something that I think we have guidance, like, or in my case, I think it's my grandma. And I always bring my Mama Chen in when I alone with my house, I feel her presence. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. But when you get into that and you start listening to yourself, that's when I think you discovered your guidance.
Yeah. And whether like people call it all sorts of things, whether it's just like, whether it's God, intuition, spirit, the universe, like it's so many different names, but it's the universe talking to us in the way that we know, the way that we're willing to listen to it. And so in some cases, a lot of times, like it comes through as a close relative that's passed, or even like an author or someone we respect, or like a public speaker that we respect, that some people even have Jesus as one of their spirit guides. And so it's a really interesting mix. And so it's always heartwarming to hear, like, especially when it's a family member, and that like that you actually listened to it and took action steps from it, which is what most people just think it's in their imagination and then they ignore it.
Yeah, that's no. And I told that to my mom, and he was like, "Oh, it's your imagination," so something like that. But I always like to feel her when I'm by myself, and when I say Mama Chen, something like that. She's always like, I think she's always with me, and it's my guided. But another something that I want to ask you: how that had helped you in your life?
Specifically with that, so that guy, the first guy that came to me was in high school, which, as a closeted gay man, figuring out my spirituality, let alone my sexuality, like there was a lot of like mental issues, a lot of emotional issues, and especially around like confidence and feeling comfortable being myself, let alone talking to other people. And I didn't come out for many years after that, but it was like that guide specifically really helped me dealing with confidence, of social anxiety, and going to like high school parties, or going to like meeting new friends, or all the things, like when you think of all the traumatic memories of high school, like all those things coming back. So that, like, specifically, he taught me techniques of how to like feel confident and be confident as I was moving throughout life. And in those cases, it was more of a fake it till you make it type of scenario. And it was like just pretend to feel confident and walk into the room like you know what you're doing. And it was it definitely, in that specific case, so for many years, like, he helped me develop that skill, which nowadays I look back and I go like, oh, there was like, now I walk into a different like social scenario and I feel much better about it. But looking back, reflecting, it's funny you even mentioned Gabby Bernstein, because I recently got to see her talk, and she led the group through a meditation. And that guide came back to me during the meditation, was like, hey, look at how far you've come. Like, you're here at a big conference, like meeting new people, talking, and you're completely 100% comfortable in who you are, like sharing your authentic self, which 16-year-old Preston would never have thought that of, in all the realms of it. And so it was definitely an eye-opening experience to sort of come full circle for it and really like be proud of it.
You have to be proud. Something, and I'm it's funny you said that, because now to this, I feel now my confident about myself, because before the first time that I met you, I was a super insecure person.
Yeah.
Because first of all, because my English, I didn't speak English at that time, and I was super scared to speak with people. But then when I started like studying and reading about that, I started believing in myself and believing in the universe was guiding me. And all of a sudden, I start speaking English like just by myself and not getting worried about what other people say. So and that's funny that that how to say that I relate with that in that way, because now I feel happy with who I am, and
Yeah.
I proud with what I been through, and also I embrace my accent now too.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's awesome to hear that from you too, because whoever see you will say, oh, it's Preston, he's super confident.
Yeah. It didn't start that way at all. Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up because I was thinking about that on the way over, like the first time we met and just giving you a tarot reading at that point, and how like what a difference you've made in your life changing, like, and how much more confident you are. Like it's a very noticeable difference, which is what I love about like your development, and like clearly what you're doing is working, because it's like it's a big difference, and it's something to be like, it's noticeable, and it's very
Yeah,
commendable.
and that's funny that you mentioned that, because that was after that day, something was like igniting myself. Like I want to learn more about myself,
Yeah.
about the spirit, about like the universe, how this works. And that's when I started reading. And now I'm in this phase in my life that I want to help people,
Yeah.
like to overcome those fears and those like self doubts that we all have. But sometimes uh, we don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
And I think what you're doing too is helping other people and helping you. So I was reading also about something that I was curious that what is how you apply, or what it is for the people that doesn't know what is human design and how that works.
Human design. So human design is it's one of the newer things I've discovered or like found, and it's actually probably made the biggest difference in the last couple of years of me like making decisions and sort of learning about myself.
Mhm.
In fact, I'm still learning new things about it all the time. So I'm really like, it's really what I've been discovering into. But it's human design is a mixture of like astrology, the I Ching, the chakra system. Like it's a combination of a couple different things, and it's like a new system of like personality development, and it's based on your aura. There's different types, and so like it's really fun in that it's I think it's given me the biggest permission to be myself, because it was like reading it's like reading an owner's manual and seeing something in it, and I was like, oh, like that's why I do this. Like that's like I would like be reading something, and then it would talk about me, whereas like astrology always felt accurate. Even tarot, I was always like, I always use tarot as like a decision making thing, but this was almost like a new system of like, astrology felt accurate in that, yes, I could see I was a Leo, and that like everything made sense. But then when I started getting deeper into human design, it allowed me full permission to be myself, and it was I was reading things and I was giving myself more permission to do things the way I wanted to do them. Like it was things that came naturally to me that I was excited for, that either I used to like push down or repress because I thought they were weird, or thought it was not like, it wasn't the way people should be acting. And so it was like getting into that felt a lot, I got a lot more like awareness of it, and I could lean into it more.
That's good. That's yeah, because I was reading about that and I was like, I want to ask him what is
Yeah.
human design, and I know that that's been helping you a lot, and also you said that that's helping you with your relationship with your partner and
Yeah.
your friends, and even with your employees.
Yeah.
How these people the people can like discover human design and how they can apply in their life.
I mean, any website is going to give you the primary thing. I know like if you look up human design, there's a few main websites, and it's just like astrology, where you put in your birth time and you get told like what at the time of your birth, this is where the planets were, and this is what your design is. From there, like you are able to read more into what your energy type is, and that sort of is how you make decisions. And so it's an interesting, what they call like deconditioning, is that you can look at it and say, oh, I've been doing this my whole life, but it hasn't been working because I'm not supposed to be doing that. And so it sort of lets you take a step back. So again, pretty much any website will like take care of that, or like, and they have they're experts, sort of like life coaches that are based in human design, and a lot of them are very, very helpful.
And they can have, and also they can contact you too.
Or me, yeah, definitely, I can help you with that too. I was like, yeah, that's all something. It's a new specialty of mine. So yeah, by all means, like feel free to reach out, and I can definitely help with your exploration of that journey.
Reach out to him. So, and also, when you talk about life coach, the other day I was talking with this person and say, oh, life coach, they have everything resolved in their life, but sometimes it's not like that. So life coach learn from their own experience, and I know that you being like for your journey hasn't been the easiest one, and it hasn't been the happiest. You've been through like things that have been hard for you. So like you had a breakout, you said, and then how was that in your life, and how you handled that with all the spirit guidance and everything that you do?
So it's funny how, again, the universe like sort of directs us in a certain direction. And if I hadn't had my last relationship, I would never have like started to explore more of my spiritual side. And so it was like I've always had like a base level knowing of it. And then after that relationship, I was left in such like a weird, not quite depressed, but I just wasn't myself. And I just needed something to help me get out of it. And counseling wasn't working, or it was working. I was doing everything. And finally, one of my friends that I'd met, like ironically enough, through the relationship, and she and I had stayed friends after, and she was like, here's Hay House Radio, which is another type of like podcast, but Hay House is a publisher of a bunch of spiritual self-help books or self-empowerment books. And I started listening to their podcast, like literally every one of my lunches, driving to work, driving home from work, every free moment I had it on. And it was a bunch of psychics, almost like psychic life coaches. Like they were taking calls, helping people, doing readings. And the more and more I listened to it, the more and more I realized I could do that. And from that, I actually like started diving in and taking like classes on how to learn tarot and how to do life coaching and it actually started, I found a class on how to create your own tarot business. And so that was my first sort of foray into figuring out how I could create a business. And that did not work out for one reason or another. And so, but it was like the relationship of going through like the rejection, going through the hurt, going through the not feeling wanted, when sometimes part of being like, before we know we're life coaches, like you tend to see the best in people, and you don't fully recognize how to make use of that. And being in the relationship I was in and seeing the potential for what it could be was probably the hardest part, because I saw the future together. I saw what it would look like, what the like buying the next house would be. I saw what like everybody living together would be. So it was like I could see the ideal future, and then getting turned into like, no, sorry, like this, I don't see that same future. So like, I've now cut you out of my life. And like just reeling from that rejection, like it was a hard time that I was able to luckily find support through spiritual guidance, friends, and definitely some bad habits, but that which is where a lot of socializing came in, because there wasn't a whole lot of wanting to be alone at that time. And so a lot of socializing, a lot of bad habits, but also new good habits that were creating this basis for this psychic empowerment, if you will.
Yeah. So this we were 2 episodes ago, we talked about rejections and failure, and how rejections and failure can be like an opportunity to grow, and also is the universe telling you, hey, this is not for you, something better is coming. Are you grateful now for that for your breakout?
Every one of it. It's as corny as it may sound, like Ariana Grande's song, like Thank You Next, is like came out right after that time. And it was one of those things of like, every one of these things, yes, like thank you for what you gave me, thank you for what it was, but clearly like we weren't meant to be together. And I'm going to keep, like literally just like the theme of the song, like I focused on myself, and now look at where I am. So yeah, 100%. Like I appreciate every one of the moments that every one of my exes has given me and like helped me grow through, because I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't been through that, which I like to I laugh about, because even very literally, I met my current boyfriend through because I was on a trip with my exes. And so only because I was on that trip did I meet my current boyfriend. So it was one of those things that very literally, like, they helped me get to this high point in my life, even if I didn't know it at the time, and even if it was painful and hard and dark, it's now created like the highest high I've ever had before.
Yeah, that was the universe testing you and saying, "Hey, I have something good for you." So,
Yeah.
and something I think we had to go through this thing to grow and be better. So, yeah, I've been also like for those hard moments, and I'm thankful for those things because that made me who I am. And I think he does also like make you who you are and see in the position that you are now. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. And that could you say that leave you to meet your actual partner that also you went also through like a traumatic accident with him,
Yeah.
and can you tell us how that was, and how also how do you apply what you learn from the metaphysic and the spiritual guy in that situation?
Yeah, it was, again, so part of starting the tarot business was like, just I found the course, I wanted to take it, I thought it was the next step, and then I my partner and I like were on vacation, and he had a traumatic injury, and so at that point everything in my life was devoted to working one job so that the rest of my time could be spent with him, because it was one of those moments where I've never fully I've never been in the position before that moment, like to lose someone that I love. Like, yes, like older family members, yes, it's at that point usually they're like, it's near the end of their life. It's a something slowly that happens, and this was the first time that I'd ever been like really faced with, oh no, like life can be completely ripped away from you like in the blink of an eye, and it was scary, and it was quite a journey to get back to where we are today. And like the big part of it was like there was a lot of prayer involved, there was a lot of meditation involved, on my part, simply because when it's someone else that's doing the physical healing, like there's nothing I can do to help him move through something or go to therapy or go to, like, everything that he was going through, I was stuck on the sidelines simply watching, which was, I like, clearly his part was harder, but at times it felt almost just as hard, because there was nothing I could really do to help him in any way except to sit and pray from the sidelines, which ironically enough is something my mom taught me to do when we were when we were in the church and very religious. And she was always a prayer warrior. And it's again ironic how it's all sort of comes back to being like the practices I saw her do for other people is exactly what I began doing for my partner. So it was a lot of prayer, meditation, and at that point in my life, I got attuned to Reiki, and so I wanted some extra healing energy that I could use around the house with him, and then also, let alone that, Reiki became a part of my business practice and something that I use in my life coaching sessions. So again, it was something traumatic that something better came out of, and even then, having a relationship where you go through something like that, it can either make or break. And in our case, it's definitely made it even stronger. And even I would say that it's boosted my relationship even with my family, who haven't always been the most supportive, but I think them seeing me like act like an adult, which they might not have always been privy to, was sort of like an eye opening for them. Like, oh, like all the hard work they put into raising me actually like panned out.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear you that, and all it's like what we were saying before, all those traumatic thing after that something good is better. The universe is bringing you something. And after that, now I know that you now are like coach.
Mhm.
How does it start?
So after his accident, I devoted all like pretty much cut out any like extracurricular, and so everything was job and him. And after a certain point, like that, it didn't need to be that way anymore. And so I found I can get to be honest, I don't even remember how I found this coach online, but like everything he said, I was like, yeah, I want to do that. And so I took his program, took his certification, and then like from there, I continued to take more and more coaching classes because I don't know if it's a coaching thing or if it's just part of like my brain. Like I love to be learning. And so I'll take course after course after course after course, which is good and bad. It gives me a lot of knowledge, but at the same time, it's important for like to take that out and use it. And so I did for a while take a lot of coaching courses until finally and part of it was just like me just trying a bunch of things and learning a lot. And then I actually was just posting consistently on Instagram, and a client completely out of the blue found me through it and was like, hey, I like what you're saying, I like what you have to offer, like, or can we coach together? And so that was my first client, like after probably 2 years of taking coaching, like courses and classes, and just sort of half doing the work, but like really getting into it, like, and like that sort of triggered this whole new slew of like, oh, I can really help someone. I can really like make, like, not as much making a difference, but although you are making a difference, but like really having the ability to empower someone to improve their own life.
So that's without advertising, without anything, just posting in Instagram.
Just Instagram, yeah.
And it took you 2 years.
It took me almost 2 years of it. Pretty inconsistent. To be fair, I was still working like a full-time day job, so it wasn't all the time posting, but it was enough that it finally caught the right attraction.
Yeah, it's kind of like you were enjoying the process, and you're not worried to get a client, and just like the universe just was like that person. And now you're just doing that.
Still working. No, I'm still working full time, but I've also committed a lot more time to it. Like now that my partner has done like his healing, like it frees me up like mentally to take care of other things. And so while my partner grows his business and I grow my business, it's been more of like I can fully support myself with a day job while, like you said, enjoying the journey and not like worrying and not feeling worried about where my next client will be or what's going to happen next, but really just allowing the fun of it all.
That's I think that's what you said. I resonate with that because I'm starting in this journey to be a life coach and help people. And something I get, I told him, I get like kind of like impatience that, oh my god, I don't have anybody hasn't reaching out to me. I just like receive like message from people. Oh, you want to get my 6-figure like coach course?
All the time. That never stops. Like 5 years later, that never stops.
Yeah, but it's something that I had to apply to myself too. Just be patient and just like let the universe like and when it's gonna be the right moment, it's gonna be the right moment. And to hear you said that, it's like, yeah, I'll say just be patient. So it's gonna be your time. For now, I'm just like enjoying the podcast because I want to help people too. I want to help people like me, also like immigrants too, that came to this country. They came to this country or come to this country without speaking English, without like with fears, in the way that I came here when I came here to this country, like kind of to motivate and say that, hey, if you had a dream, you can achieve it. So it's all in you. You have the power. So, and I think what you're doing is awesome though. And I want to say thank you for accepting my proposal to be here. And I think that's gonna resonate with a lot of people too. But I had another question for you. What is Reiki?
Reiki is
Reiki.
It's the simplest way is like energy healing. Both, it can be physical. It's majority energetic, but from that in most cases, a physical injury is something energetic in the body. So it's a little bit of a 1-2 punch. And so it's channeling life force energy into like through yourself and into another person to sort of clear up any energetic blocks. But it also, by clearing those energetic blocks, it sort of clears up physical ones as well. So it's sort of a little bit of both worlds to get the healing moving.
All right. And you like as a life coach, what would you say to these people that are like afraid to like to take the next step in their life?
That feel the fear, and that you don't have to jump off the deep end. You're allowed to just take one like small dip in the pool, and that you can sit in the kiddie side. You can like you don't have to. Sometimes when we think about what the next step is, we're actually thinking about the 100th step, and really that's where the fear comes in. If you were to think about just literally the next step, there's no fear around it, because you're completely capable of taking that next step. Who you are as a person right now might not be the person that can take that 100th step, but that's part of the journey. Each step you take is going to change you as a person, so that eventually when you get to that 100, you look back and you go, oh, I'm not at all that person I was back here. No wonder I was afraid of this, because I wasn't emotionally ready for it. I wasn't spiritually ready for it. I, in some cases, wasn't even like physically ready to take that step. So if someone is feeling too afraid to take that next step, I would say challenge yourself to, even though it might seem counterintuitive to a life coach, but challenge yourself to think smaller if you're too afraid to take that next step. And sometimes that next step can be as something as small as deciding to meditate for 5 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be, I'm now quitting my job and life coaching full time, because that's usually like, while some people can do that, most people aren't ready to do that. And so like in some cases, maybe it can even be like, oh, maybe I'm going to go get that self-empowerment book off the bookshelf and read the first chapter. Like that can be your first step. It doesn't have to be hiring a coach, or it doesn't have to be moving to a new state to start a new practice. It can totally be something super simple, and repeating that even for 30 days will take you much farther than not doing anything at all.
Yeah, that's true. Like small step, it's gonna take you to where you want. It's gonna take long time, what were we saying?
Yeah.
But it's gonna like get you there. So, and how people can trust in their intuition, like how?
The first step is all exactly like you mentioned, actually, is just listening. And really, you don't even have to act on it. A lot of people will like ignore it so much that it just goes away. I always say that intuition is a muscle. So just like going to the gym, you're not going to go and like do a bicep curl of 100 pounds. Like you're going to go start with something small, like a 5 pound, until you work up the muscle for it. And the easiest way to flex your intuition muscle is literally just to listen for it. Once you do that, the rest gets easier, especially if you start writing down what your intuition says, and then looking back and going, oh, that's right. I got it right and I ignored it. Or even doing something like, my grandma told me to convey this message to you, and whether or not you do anything with it, I'm going to honor my intuition and just share the message. And so listening is the biggest way to build that muscle.
Listening and listen to yourself and be present in the moment.
Yeah.
That's practically
what we can do. And your intuition is always going to be uplifting. I'm not sure. It might still tell you a no, but it's going to be an uplifting no. Whereas anything that's not intuition is going to be something like from a fear or a lack-based thing. Like being afraid of something is not your intuition. Your intuition might tell you to avoid something, but it's not going to be because you're afraid of it.
And do you think you can get like signs like they tell you to do something or
all the time? I was actually just talking about that. I was talking about that today, and that literally I like to joke that everything is a sign. So no matter like what the universe puts in your path, like if you have your eyes open, if you're listening, if you're aware of it, it's going to be a sign. Specifically, like you can ask your spirit guides or ask your intuition for specific signs, like whether it be a certain type of flower, and then you'll see that come up on TV, or an animal, and then a bird crosses your path. Like you can ask for it, and your intuition is always going to give it to you. Your spirit guides want to talk to you. I always laugh that like everything is a sign. And so sometimes people, like one of my friends will make fun of me of like, oh, like, is that a sign? Like, well, yeah, like the fact that you noticed it and the fact that you're calling it out to me, now it's become a sign. So even if it wasn't before, like it is now, even if it's something as simple as like just feeling like a smell that reminds you of your grandma, knowing that, like reminding you she's there. Something that simple can be a sign just to be present in the moment.
Yeah, that's true. So true the way you said, and that resonating to me, because last year I was for something in my work, and I was like thinking, should I move department or no? Should I move? And my grandma, she used to like red roses, and she had so. And the day I got an offer to move to another department, and I was telling him I don't know what to do, honestly. And I went to Fry's to get the money in order to pay my rent. And the guy that was in the counter has a tattoo in his arm with a red rose.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit. Shit. Because normally I don't notice people.
Yeah.
But that day I was like, shit. Yeah. And I think that was a sign. I took the decision, and I think it was a good decision for me to move to another department. And yeah, it's like it's just to be present and listen,
Yeah.
and pay attention on like wherever you go, because that can be like also you can find a sign that's awesome. I can relate with that with you. That's cool, because when you talk to this thing to other people, they kind of like. I don't think so. I don't believe in that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things that like, that's why it's funny to say like, yeah, everything is a sign, because like some people, I've even had, like, it's funny because like different things mean different things to different people. And so I even had one client at one point that was like, oh, well, yeah, I started seeing pennies all the time. And she just like left it at that. And I was like, I don't know what that, like seeing a penny doesn't mean anything to me. Like, what does that even mean? And she goes, oh, well, to me, it means this, 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 and this. And I was like, right. So that's great. So you're like, the pennies do mean like, that is a sign from like your angels that they're with you. Like to me, that's not like pennies don't mean that. And so that doesn't mean anything, but it's stories like that. Like the rose meant something special to you. And that's how the intuition works. Like it's also why I enjoy tarot, because the tarot cards, while yes, they have specific meanings, it's all about how my intuition calls out a specific card or a symbol or something, and what it means to me. And that's lately I've been teaching classes on how to read tarot, and it's been one of the highlights is teaching people to trust their intuition when they're reading the cards, and what a different, like, there was one time in one class, like 3 people had the same card, but it meant something completely different to each of them. But each one of them needed that message that the card and their intuition like told them. So intuition is always beautiful. And I just love that, like, that when you're aware of it and you can see it and like, oh, I don't ever notice this. You probably had that cashier before and you've never noticed his tattoo. And then that day you're like, oh, wait, that rose tattoo, like, that's clearly yes, that's a sign. So it's when you're aware and looking and like being on the lookout for it.
No, yeah, that's so true. So, and how the people can contact you or like reach out to you through Facebook?
Facebook, Instagram is the biggest. I'm mostly active on there, and my account is Windmain. Actually, I don't remember what it is. If it's Windmain444 at Windmain444. I was like, sometimes the numbers are there and sometimes they're not. So, but I'm pretty sure the Instagram account is Windmain444, and that's probably the best place. I'm most active there. Otherwise, my website, which is the same, windmain444.com.
That's awesome. And how are you? How can you tell? How are you right now?
Yeah.
How like, and I don't know how you tell how to like. I know I had it in Spanish, but not in English. Like, when with phase of your life are you right now? How you feeling? From I'm gonna be like coach from 1 to 10. How you feel now?
Uh, it's funny you asked that because like at the moment, I I've been really deep in like a spiritual reawakening, and so right now I'm like at a 9, and I'm
That's
not sure I
good.
would have said that probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure I would have said that. So it's like, but it's one of those things of like everything has sort of been stacking on top of each other, and like right now I'm having some like really cool experiences, like both like spiritually and during my meditations. Like I like things are at a 9 right now, and I'm like I'm glad you asked that because I'm not sure if I would have put that all together. But yeah, it's definitely at a high point. Like everything is clicking the way it's supposed to be. Like you said, like it might have taken, when did I say I started this? Like it might have taken 5 or 6 years, but it really feels like everything is like clicking together and sort of the universe is aligning everything the way it's supposed to.
That's good. And you feel like aligned right
Yeah,
now?
so
Awesome.
much. Like it's and I'm not sure I can point it to any specific thing. It's a combination of everything over the last 6 7 years that has like just slowly been adding on and adding on. And as I say that, I realize that really the ultimate thing that everything has led me to was being fully authentic, which is something I don't think I ever had for the first 30 some years of my life. Is I was always sort of putting on a mask or putting on, not quite pretending, but sort of like putting on something to make sure that everybody like felt a certain way. And the last couple of years has been revealing my authentic self. And that's really been, I think, the key to what all these systems have in common, whether it's intuition, whether it's tarot, whether it's coaching. You become more and more authentic, which the universe rewards that. And that, I think that's really what is driving this point, that's driving this everything being aligned right now, is like feeling totally comfortable being authentic and not being afraid to be myself.
That's awesome that you said that. When you start being yourself, everything is start going.
Literally,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. Because we you said about the mask, I think we will, especially us. We've been like we're wearing always a mask, pretending to be something, not to pretending somebody that we are not, but pretending like, I don't know how to say it, like to make other people happy.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we are always wearing a mask. And when we start, like when we throw away that mask, is when we start like everything start going to be in a line, and you still the universal sending you what you want,
Yeah.
because it's who you are right now. You enjoying that who you are. You're thankful for who you are. So the universe, God is like, okay, you're happy now. Thus, you
Yeah.
deserve that. This all everything that you want is coming for you. That's awesome that you said
And
that.
it's funny because you read, especially when you start getting into life coaching or like any type of self-help or any type of self-empowerment, like you read all the quotes about authenticity. Like Oprah has one that's like, if I'd known how profitable it was to be authentic, I would have done this like 10 years ago. Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things of like, you read it, but then like I'm finally getting to a point where I read it and it's fully embracing it because, oh, like, no, I like that it is safe for me to be that person.
Yeah, and it's like something that I've been doing, and I feel that because before I didn't like to speak with people, and I didn't like to meet people, and because I was afraid what other people were going to say, my like for my accent, they gonna understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna feel judgy, and but now I just embrace. If you don't understand me, it's your problem.
Yeah.
Because now that's what I think now. If
Yeah.
you don't understand me, it's your problem. And sometimes I don't understand you either. That's what I said, and so I embrace it. So and I think that's what made me unique, and that's who made me who I am. And I've been through. It's been a hard journey for me because I learned English by myself.
Yeah.
So and and do this podcast knowing that I had a thick accent and I don't speak like perfect English, but I know that people understand, and there's a lot of people that can relate also with me, and I'm enjoying, and I think everything is being like going in the way that I want.
I will say that I almost didn't recognize you when you first sent me the first podcast because of the extra confidence, because of the extra authenticity. I was like, that's not the same person I did a tarot reading for like years back. Like your growth has been amazing to watch, like to see where you were then to where you are now. Like this is huge. So I want to say like it's recognized and that it's definitely visible. Like we can see it. Like,
awesome, thank you. Yeah, this is like what you said. I started enjoying who I
Yeah.
am and be attentive with myself and be proud of who I am too. So because I know that I'm Latino, but I also I like to live in this country. I like the culture of this country, but I always know who I am, and I enjoy that. And,
Yeah.
and I'm so thankful for you to be here. And I would like to have you again.
Yes, please. This is fun.
And this next time you're gonna do like I'm gonna have you to do like some tarot reading. But
yeah, that's
awesome.
perfect.
So what is next for you now?
What is next? That's a great question. I'm not even sure I know what that is. At the moment, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I started a new meditation practice, and I've been really, like you mentioned earlier, human design. I've been really leaning into human design, and so I think that's my key right now, is to continue to learn more about it and then take that into both using it with my clients, but also just exploring it for myself.
That's awesome. So, and I had another question for you.
Yeah.
This is a random question. So, if you were like, this one was your they say something like we're gonna put you have to create a law.
Create a law.
A law, yeah.
Okay.
What would be?
If I had to create a law, it's ironic because this law would actually be counterproductive. Like if I had to make a law, it would be that everybody has to meditate at least 5 minutes a day. That would be, I think that would change so many people's perspective. Like forcing people to be like quiet and still for even just 5 minutes a day. Like the irony being forcing it would be the counterproductive thing. So I don't think it would really work, but I think like if everybody did that for 5 minutes a day, your life would change and like things would just get easier.
That's awesome. That was a really nice conversation today.
Yeah.
What I say before, thank you again for being here. Hopefully I have you again.
Yeah, please. This was fun. Yeah.
So we can find you in Instagram and over here.
Perfect.
In Instagram, also your website.
Yeah.
And you had a business phone number too?
Yeah, it's all on my business page. Everything. The easiest way to contact me is just go to Instagram, and all my contact info is there.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you so much,
Thank
Preston,
you.
for being here today, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, guys. See you next time. Don't forget to like us and subscribe. We will see you next episode. Thank you so much for watching us today. Bye bye.